Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to wrap up season 33 of Alliance War. In this video, we are going to take a look at the final war of the season, which notice the bands look a little different. We had Torch and Apocalypse, as well as Quake. So Ghost was not banned, and this is going to be the second war of the season that I'm able to bring Ghost. But at the end of this video, I am going to go over the loyalty spreadsheet, so there will be a short section of that. And then additionally, I'm going to show you my Nexus crystal that I got from the Alliance War rewards. We ended up in Masters after this war. So we're going up against Next, and they placed a pretty interesting defense. So I got to take some fights that I hadn't taken before or hadn't taken in a while. And we're starting off with this Taskmaster on path 1, which has the regeneration when you're near him. And this is a good example of making sure that you really read the abilities of your opponents, because I went to Aunt May. I remembered that there was something related to ability accuracy with him, and it turns out that as the fight goes on, the more unique moves like mediums, lights, heavies, specials that you do against him, your offensive ability accuracy goes down. And now one of the things that can fail due to offensive ability accuracy is the Wasp synergy. So we're going to see when I do my special 2s, I am not going to phase into them as if Wasp were there. And you can see that first one, the Wasp synergy failed. It did not guaranteed crit. It did not go unblockable, even though I timed it correctly. So really glad I read that. We're just sort of, again, same exact thing happened there. We phased correctly and we got offensive ability accuracy reducing us. So we're mostly just using the fact that we have the guaranteed crits, we have the cruelty buff, we have the easy openings. We're not placing debuffs on him. Right there, big mistake, almost got smacked. I tried to get a Fury, but he shrugged the stun a little bit too quickly. And here, we're really hoping that we can finally get a nice big special 2, and we do. The power back boosts are helping. This war is going to be a little bit gluttonous in terms of the amount of boosts that I use. But I think you're going to see that it really did make a difference. And, you know, I think Dr. Doom would be a better choice there. However, you know, when it comes to planning, we needed Ghost for some pretty tricky fights. And you're going to see in this next one that even though Wasp may not be the first person you think of to take a masochism Longshot, she's going to absolutely wreck this fight. And it's something that's probably my favorite fight of the war. So going into this, I read the nodes. Like, it's really important to read even after you get an assignment. This masochism over time is a 15% regen. And I know that with Wasp, I'm going to be placing a ton of debuffs on him. I'm probably going to have to stun every time I heavy him. It's going to put a weakness on him. Both of the special attacks that you use with Wasp place non-damaging debuffs on him. But what we're going to do in this fight is just trust the damage per hit that Wasp has. Trust the easy openings that she has. So right there, I missed the parry, but we got the evade and the shock triggered masochism. So that was actually a very fortunate start. But when you hit Longshot while he's stunned, when you place non-damaging debuffs like the weakness on him, you have a chance to reduce his karma. And, you know, the way that you die against Longshot is he throws a special 2 with Pure of Heart up. So what we want to do is make sure that the good karma stays below 5, because once he gets to 5, we're in a ton of danger. So right here, we're able to reduce the karma by 1. So now he has 2. And fortunately, we had the indestructible on. Our dexes are on point. Here we shrink down. We throw the special 2. We get some nice guaranteed crits and some nice bonus crits as well. Now, I didn't feel safe throwing it there. I wasn't sure where my masochism timer was, but one more special 2, and that's going to knock him out. So Wasp, you know, again, a pretty elegant counter there. Maybe not the best counter on paper, but to me, it's really cool when you can bring an essential synergy champ for your main clearer, which is Ghost in this case, and then that champ can take one fight. Doesn't matter, you don't have to heal them back up or anything. They're just going to take care of business, and then you roll on with your main counter right after that. Alright, so in this next one, we're going up against Void. This is one of the only other Ghost fights that I've done earlier in the season, and he kind of slow comboed me there, so my punish was off. So that wasn't a great way to start. I want to make sure that I have 6 hits on my combo before I throw the special 2, so that when we throw the next one, it puts him at exactly 9 hits on the combo meter. And then with the power back boost, 1 more special 2 is going to get him down. So Ghost, again, really just makes that node 26 a joke. I feel like if you're going to not ban Ghost, there's a few placements, you know, like on path 9 or on node 26 that you really need to pick fights that Ghost can counter, because that, you know, we turned on the recoil tree mostly because of the mini boss that I'm going to take at the end of this. But yeah, just Ghost with suicides on is just so OP in war, and there's a reason that she gets banned. Now, a few seasons ago, when America Chavez first came out, I did die to her, and the main problem you have to worry about with her is right there, her heavy attack. We did not punish the Utopian Parallel there, which is what I wanted to do. Fortunately, our power gain is not completely blunted. We're definitely having a sloppy fight here, obviously, but I need to get this special 2 off, so we do get it off, and now the fight's back under control. But yeah, the thing you worry about with her is when she does the Dark Dimension, it will reduce your SIG ability as Ghost, and it will also reduce power back boost. So even if we had 0 power gain, though, I think I would have gotten enough hazard shift debuffs on me that basic hits would have killed her. So I wasn't ever really too worried about that fight. I would be more worried about her if she was on a node where Ghost was not enhanced, because then it would be a much longer fight and more danger could happen. Mystic Dispersion could play a role as well. Now, similarly, you know, whenever I say stuff like this, I don't want to be, you know, knocking the opponents for placements, but I have fought Weapon X with Nebula on the previous node, node 35, and that node is way scarier because it limits the amount of times that you can parry because of one eye open. On this fight, it's going to be a little bit of a joke. So I start off with parry heavy, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to build up amp charges from making contact with him. I want to push him back, and I want to do as much shock damage as possible before he goes berserk. So now he has 15 of his little rage charges, which means when he throws a special 1, he's going to go berserk, which is what I want at this point because I know I'm not going to be able to finish the fight. So now we just have to avoid him. Notice I have 1 bar of power. I'm going to use that to my advantage if I get backed up. So right there, the reason I threw that special was just to create space. Then we did a stand-up intercept because when he's berserk, he has very predictable AI. So that was why that felt safe to me. Now Berserk has fallen off, which means it's on a very long cooldown, and we have the shock up, which means he's just going to go down in no time. So that fight, I was pretty proud of that fight, just in terms of the strategy that I used, and, you know, keeping control of Weapon X, like knowing when I could do damage, knowing when I needed to dexterity and evade him. So yeah, I was feeling pretty good about that one, I'm not gonna lie. So felt pretty good to get a Weapon X on our last war. And then finally, one of the main reasons that Ghost is here is to go up against this Dr. Doom on the Conflictor and Combat Deja Vu Prowess Mini Node 51. It's a rank 4. We're pretty adequately boosted here so that we can just ghost him. But this works for Ghost because she doesn't care about Conflictor if she's phasing. And then we can pretty easily medium light him. So now with my boost situation, I didn't want to go for the 200% tech because I knew that that might push us a little bit too far. But with the 150s, it actually doesn't quite push me far enough. So here we just have to dex, and now we need to watch out for the aura to fall off. The aura falling off will be important so that our special attack doesn't get blocked, but we're just stalling. He doesn't have a lot of power. I'm going to build up a little bit more power before throwing this so that the power backs will send me back to special 2. because I noticed that the first one didn't quite get me there. So that's why I went a little closer to 3 bars of power before throwing the special 2, and then that ends him. So rank 4 Doom, 3 special 2s, careful play, and Ghost gets him down. So I'm feeling pretty good that Ghost hasn't atrophied for me. I still feel pretty comfortable with her. And that's going to wrap up the season, man. We ended up getting Masters 19th place, which if you would have asked me 3 wars ago if that was possible, I probably would have said no. But the key was consistency in our wins. When we won very handily. We did not give up a bunch of deaths. We had some ugly wars, but at the end of the day, we came out above everyone else and finished in the top 20. And by everyone else, I mean like anyone else that had our war record. We must have just scored better attack bonuses than all of them, and we ended up where we were. Now, I am going to just show you the results of my 6-star Nexus crystal because it's the only thing I opened. And unfortunately, the video failed. But I had Red Guardian, and then Null was in the middle, and then it was a Call Obsidian dupe on the right. And when I saw that Null, I don't think I have clicked on picking of a Nexus faster than I did that day. I have not done Karina's challenge of the Abyss that includes the Spider-Verse champions, and now I have Null. The issue is I'm a little low on resources, but I think by the time I'm ready to take on that challenge, I'll be able to rank 3 him unduped, and that's just going to make that run so much easier. So having missed him in all of the Nexuses from Act 7, and having missed him in his entire featured, him being one of the more targeted champions that I wanted, it was just so cool to finally get this guy out of the basic pool and add him to the roster. So next up, we're going to look at the stats for the season. So here we go. So first of all, this is the most fun slide for me. This is the amount of champions that I've used. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Probably should have counted ahead of time, but 12 unique champions in Alliance War Season 33. Super cool. Obviously, Apocalypse was the most present. He was my first rank 4. Additionally, Doom, who ended up rank 4 by the end of the season, had a few fights, but Nebula, another all-star, and Sorcerer, probably the 3rd place all-star right there. Lots of difficult bosses and mini-bosses with her. I think she's going to take a little bit of a backseat next season because Unstoppable Armor is turning off. But some of my favorite champions also got used. Of course, Wasp twice. We did get to use Ghost a little bit. I had that really OP Horseman Cable War, Mole Man, Elsa, and even Magneto for the first time for me. So this is the thing that makes war fun for me, is using this variety of my rank 3 and above champions, seeing synergy champions like Cable and Wasp make it onto the teams, using champs like Elsa, who's my favorite champ in the game, Nebula, who I've become a little bit of a proficient Nebula user. It's just all good stuff. So this is the good. We're going to get a little bit to the ugly now when I look at the loyalty spreadsheet. So let's transition to that next. So this is the first part of the spreadsheet, which is going over the healing. Now you can see I did basically the average amount of fights, 61, with 60 being exactly 5 fights per war, which is the perfect average. I died twice. I just realized I never uploaded War 11, but I had a pretty ugly death there, which definitely cost me a lot of health potions. You can see all of those level 5 potions. It was an Apocalypse death, which was pretty ugly. But we did have one war where there was no healing needed, and then there were a few that were pretty small. So looking at all of this, like if this was the only part of the picture, I think it would be a pretty doable situation. And I also want to mention that the 40% revive change that is coming live when the next season starts, I think that definitely would have saved me a lot of healing. Because, even though I died twice, if you look at the 2 deaths that I had and those wars and the amount of healing that was required, because I did have to revive and heal those champions, you can basically cut that in about half, and that's what it'll be in the new world. And then additionally, there is going to be more loyalty coming to us. So I am saying that I'm feeling a little bit better about the whole situation. I do think that it's going to be a little bit of a pinch for us in Tier 1. They are definitely monetizing war a little bit here by making it a little bit of pressure to need to use units to heal, to get your boosts, to, not just acquire champions. Like, we're really talking about the entry to the mode to play it competitively is going to take a little bit of resources. And I understand that that's probably the way it should be if they're trying to make money. But just compared to all these seasons with the compensation, it is going to feel a little rough. So now you can see, like, some wars were very expensive for healing. Some wars were very moderate. I did have one with no healing. I want to move to the next section of the spreadsheet where we look at the total loyalty. And I really think that the boost situation is a little bit more important than it is to look at the healing, because that is where the major loyalty economy is currently. So let's take a look at that second half of the spreadsheet. So when all was said and done, I used the equivalent of about 1.5 million loyalty. And that's not terrible, because the net loyalty gain in the middle system, the one that, like, the second iteration of the loyalty system, was around 1 million. So I definitely went over that 150%, and I'm hoping that the new system, which is going to give us even more loyalty, will cover some of that. I do have to say I was pretty liberal with the amount of boosts that I was using, because most of them were coming in for free because of the compensation. So what that means is, in the future, I am going to have to kind of wean myself off of using some of the gray boosts. The issue is that a lot of this last season, I used champions that really required stuff like advanced power boosts. Like, some of the Nebula fights are pretty dangerous, and without the advanced power boost, they become a bad assignment, they become just a less safe assignment. Similarly with Sorcerer Supreme, like, if you're going up against a Super Skrull mini, if you don't have that slow ready to go at the beginning, it's like the fight is completely different. So having those advanced power boosts are really important. There are some champs that just require power back boosts in their style. Again, like Apocalypse, we kind of stretched him out to take some more dangerous fights than he would normally take. And because of that, having the mutant boost on really just makes it a safer fight. He has plenty of utility, but there's even more utility in his ginormous special 2, which can then push you back to a special 1, and then the fight's over. Similarly, you just saw that Wasp fight. I used Ghost with the tech boosts, then I had a Wasp fight, and I don't think I would have beaten that Longshot without the science boosts, because that regeneration from masochism over time was so huge. So just looking at my final war, there are so many boosts that I use, and it looks like they're redundant, or maybe it was a luxury. But I don't know, man. I think I needed those boosts to get through the war. I mean, the only fights that maybe I could have done without were the Taskmaster with Ghost. Like, I could have left them off for that first fight, or the Chavez with Ghost. But, against the Doom and against the Void, I think I needed those. I think that was part of the strategy. And certainly for Wasp versus Longshot, I think I needed those. So this number will go down because realistically, I will probably run out of invulns or advanced power boost partway through the season, just because we're not getting that influx of compensation. So that number will go down. But just wanted to show you that somebody who is, I would consider myself a pretty average Alliance War player in Tier 1 in terms of the amount of fights I take. I do take some pretty dangerous fights, so even though the fight total is less, like, I did take 2 bosses this season, and I took at least 1 mini boss every war, including some pretty stacked rank 4 ones. So, my load of fights was definitely pretty solid. But I just want to point out that it still cost me 1.5 million fights, and I know that 1.5 million loyalty, and I know that there are other folks who take even more of a load than I do, and that does need to be acknowledged. Finally, we're going to look at the boost situation. This is a different economy in my opinion, because boosts can be found in the greater solar crystals, the superior solar crystals, or whatever they're called. They can be found in events if you farm them. Additionally, you can use units to buy the 30% boost, but I really tried to do a season that minimized the 30% champ boosts. As you can see, my default was just 20%ers, just because I had them and I wanted to conserve. I think only 3 times throughout the season I used 30% boosts. So that's just something to keep track of. There were some seasons, there were some wars where I had to like double or triple boost just based on how many fights I had to take, but there were some other ones where I was pretty economical. You can also see that I do turn on suicides every once in a while. It was in 1/4 of the wars. We went 5 and 7, so that's not the best record, but it did get us into Masters. That last war we did end up winning. I don't know why there's a question mark there. But anyway, I just wanted to share all this. I think it's important to kind of know what war costs, what the total cost of war is. And it was pretty expensive, man. It was pretty expensive. But this is the 4th season in a row that we've gotten Masters. I have a ton of fun. I've got a lot of friends in my alliance. I think it's worth it for me. I just hope that I'm not going to have to dip into my bank account to play war in the future, that hopefully I can continue the farming and, focusing on war that I'm doing now, so that in the game grind, I'm able to get all the resources that I need to play the mode. So anyway, we've got a very short 2-week break, and then everything's going to change. The map, the tactic. There's some changes to our battle groups in SSX. I'm actually going to be leading a battle group completely on my own next season. So yeah, more to come. Really going to enjoy this break and not feel burnt out. Hope you guys all had a great war season, and thanks for coming along on this journey with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.